Hello everybody, Dan here from the Banjoheads Facebook group. We are going to be releasing a series of videos. This will be the first one in the series on the Irish tenor banjo, the actual banjo itself, not so much playing. This series of videos will hopefully give you a better understanding of all of the parts of the banjo, how they affect the playability and tone of the banjo. So I'm going to go down through the banjo and explain all the different pieces and parts. Okay, so now we're going to move in and take a closer look at all the different pieces and parts of the banjo. Name them so we know what we're talking about when we're talking about our banjos, and in upcoming episodes we'll take a closer look at some of the different pieces and parts. This is referred to as the neck of the banjo. This is the neck. This is the pot of the banjo. Looking at the neck, starting at the top, this area here is the peg head or headstock that holds the tuners here with the buttons on the back, and your strings attached to the top of the tuners. The strings come on down, go through this piece here, which is called the nut of the banjo. On the top of the neck, from there down to here, this is the fingerboard. The fingerboard is separated by metal wires that are called fret wires or frets. Within the fingerboard, you will have your position markers. This Paramount has very fancy position markers at 3, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15, and 17. Back here, the Vega doesn't have quite as fancy and is missing 15. But it helps you indicate where your fingers are on the fingerboard. On the side of the fingerboard, you can see here on the Paramount that black strip. That's the edge binding, fingerboard binding. That also has position markers in it. This banjo has some marquetry underneath. Looking back here at the Vega, it has some white binding. Okay, moving on down the neck. The bottom part of the neck here, this is called the heel of the banjo. That is what attaches to the main part of the banjo. We'll get a better look at that back here. The big round circle, wooden circle, is the pot or rim of the banjo. You can see on this gold tone, it is connected with two metal rods. Those are called coordinator rods that attach the neck to the main body of the banjo. In the vintage banjos, they often have a wooden stick called a dowel stick. That dowel stick is glued into the heel of the banjo and attached with a metal bracket that you can see through the head there. At the end of the dowel stick, there is a nut that comes through that has a lag screw attached to it that screws into the bottom part of the dowel stick. Okay, now getting to the main body of the banjo. First thing we notice here is the head of the banjo, either goat skin or a synthetic material. Underneath the head, this ring right there going around, that is the tone ring. Most banjos have different styles to each specific banjo. This Paramount banjo has a metal ring that sits on top of some metal brackets. Looking back here at the Vega, this is a tubaphone tone ring. So there is a metal ring sitting on top of a square tube that has holes in it. The gold tone just has a brass ring that sits on top of the pot under the head, just a brass hoop. Holding the head onto the banjo is the tension ring or tension hoop. That's this metal bar right here that goes all the way around. These hooks attached onto that go through what is called the bracket shoe. Under the bracket shoe, down in there, are nuts. You tighten those nuts to pull down on this tension hoop to create the tension on the head of the banjo. The metal ring in here is called a resonator flange that has these big circles in it, and this is the resonator itself. On top of the head, the strings go across what is called the bridge that transfers the vibrations into the head, creates the tone of the banjo. Strings come back here, and this is the tailpiece. This is where the strings end. They loop on to the end of the tailpiece in one fashion or another, and this is referred to as the armrest. Okay, well, I hope I got all of the parts identified on the banjo for you. Again, these are all tuned GDAE for Irish tenor banjo playing. In upcoming episodes, we will break down a banjo. I'll show you how to restring a banjo, how to set the intonation, what the bridge, tailpiece, and all the different parts do, how they affect the tone and the playability of the banjo. So I hope you enjoyed this. Any questions, put it in the comments below. I'll keep an eye on it and do my best to help you out. Thanks for watching.